Welcome to Chamber Connection. We're back again. I'm Mary Hutchinson, president of the Chamber of Commerce here in Hutchinson, Minnesota, where there is much in Hutch. And if you haven't been out driving around, you should take a little gander around our community because so many things are popping up. New businesses, new business owners, lots of fun things, lots of reusing buildings that we've had closed in the past. So we're really excited about that. And with that, really excited today because my friend Andrea Moore, Tiger Path Coordinator, is here.
Thanks for having me.
The crowd goes wild.
I can hear it.
I am sure Matt really appreciated me doing that with a microphone just then. Tiger Path Coordinator for Hutchinson School District.
That's me.
Because it's not just at the high school, right?
Correct.
So I have to always try to remember for Hutchinson Public Schools, ISD 423.
My office is at the high school.
But your office is there. Yes, along with some great people. Love having you on because number one, it's Andrea.
Each other.
Right,
Yeah.
it's Andrea time. So I'm never going to complain about that, folks. Never going to complain about that. But also, there's so many fun things that are happening with Tiger Path right now, and I thought the community should know about it because businesses sometimes know about these things because we're communicating with them and things are happening. But maybe a great time to update the community on things that are happening because we are now moving from pandemic almost to endemic.
Feels good.
It feels good. So now that the school can have visitors again, businesses can come in, kids can go out to businesses, why don't you just give us a general update on Tiger Path and what's happening?
Sure, I would love to. Yeah, it's been, we tried to be creative with different things when there were more restrictions in place because of the pandemic, and that's understandable. We were still able to do a few things and try to help kids explore careers, but now, like you said, we've been having visitors in, doing presentations, guest speakers. We've been bringing kids out on field trips, so it feels so good. It feels really good to actually have that interaction again. And so we have things coming up like the job fair, the job and career fair. It's back to back, two very different purposes. Career fair is like just help kids explore careers, mainly for 10th graders. And then the job fair is literally businesses bring applications if you want, interview a student right on the spot if you want. And
that's mostly for juniors and seniors.
Correct. Yep.
But if a 16-year-old wanted to go, because a lot of the jobs start at 16,
right,
they could go.
They could.
Because it's during lunch.
Right, it's during lunch.
We are so genius about scheduling. Well, you're really the genius about scheduling.
I bribe them, so.
Yeah, you're really good at that.
And that is March 25th, if I didn't say that.
Friday, March 25th.
Yeah.
And so the career fair starts first right away in the morning.
Yeah, 7:30-ish.
And that's where sophomores, so we're talking about 10th graders, who are really right before that cusp of, they're really in that exploration stage.
Right. And they haven't been able to do the traditional career fairs like we always do for 10th graders for 2 years.
Yeah.
So we're really excited.
Really excited. The business support for that has been, as always, astonishing and surprising and amazing.
I couldn't say it enough. Like, we could have our 3-hour session that we were joking about, and I could spend 3 hours talking about how wonderful business support in this community is. And
kidding, not kidding. Right? Wouldn't you love to have a 3-hour series with us?
That's right.
I think the third hour includes wine.
I could tell you so many stories.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then butted right up to that, right? Those businesses that are there then move into a job fair situation and other businesses come in for the job fair.
Right. There are some businesses that are choosing, maybe they're not hiring. If there's businesses out there that aren't right now, there are a few. And they have a choice, that some will be leaving after the career fair. They really just want to help expose kids to their industry and they're maybe not hiring, so they'll leave when the career fair is over. And then there are, I think, 5 or 6 businesses who are only coming for the job fair. They just don't have maybe the time or resources to do the career fair right now, but they really, would love to participate in the job fair because they are hiring. So there's, we try to make it flexible. So, and then I think there's 20 some businesses already that are doing both, staying the whole time, career fair and job fair. So
That's really exciting.
and really focusing, especially for the career fair, on interactive things. And I've heard some of the ideas already. I kind of want to do a little contest among businesses, like,
Right.
and have the kids vote, like which was the most interactive, or because
Right.
there are some creative ideas coming out there already. Because we just don't want kids walking by going, hi.
Right.
We want them engaged with the businesses that are there and learning about the industry. So.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the things that we always felt was really important in a career exploration setting, is actually having something that's hands-on, interactive, where you can really learn about an industry. And I very often use nursing as an example, right? Because I think that everybody kind of understands what a nurse does, right? A nurse takes blood pressure, she's maybe giving medication, she's helping, like CNAs, TED stockings, things like that. But sometimes we forget about all of the recording they have to do on a computer, all that charting and recording all the things that they did. And that sometimes takes more time than what they actually did. And I think that's really important for anybody who's looking at any industry, any type of job, to kind of understand what's on that backside you don't always see.
Right.
Right?
And a lot of businesses too, I mean, that's a great point right there. Like, what does it all entail? And then a lot of businesses, or some, have asked me, like our industry doesn't really lend itself to an interactive hands-on, we can't take somebody's blood pressure while we're there, or it's not going to relate to our industry. So even things like we've suggested taking the different positions at your industry or at your business and putting it on cards, whether it's accountant or custodian or cashier or whatever, stock person. And then putting the matching average salaries on other cards and see if kids can match,
That's a great idea, right?
So,
I know, you're so good.
there's always something that can be done, and that will really draw students, to your booth. So,
Well, and we've been to a few different expo, for careers, and
St. Cloud during the snowstorm, that was hilarious. We are lucky to be sitting here alive together.
we actually are. That would be the third hour of the series. So again, make sure you email or call HCVN and tell them that you want the
Request.
3 hour series so we can do the third hour, because I think that they would love that from us. I'm sure of it.
Positive.
Really, the stories we could tell you. But we were really impressed and have been really impressed by the creativity of people in their own industry. Because what would draw you to the industry you were in at a younger age, right? And we have to engage these people, because nobody really wants to sit for an hour and listen to someone talk about what they do, right?
Except for us, they want 3 hours. No.
3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hour tour. I mean,
right,
and we're
no.
saying this like Mackenzie is here today. She is job shadowing me from Ridgewater. And hi, Mackenzie. I mean, if I had to just sit and talk to her for a day about what I do, that would be really boring. But she's been able to follow me and see some of the very diverse things that I do throughout a day. She's probably ready for a nap and lunch at this point, because I'm ready for a nap and lunch. But
Lunch,
then
then a nap.
Lunch, then a nap. Look at you. You're so smart. You just teacherized it.
I teacherized it.
Yeah, you teacherize. She teacherizes a lot of things for me, folks. Sorry, it's just an inside thing. But it gives them a better understanding. Even when we're talking about wastewater treatment and the runoff, showing kids what it looks like when you have a field barrier versus not a field barrier. I thought that was a genius thing, to be able to visually show somebody what the difference is, even for us as adults.
Right.
So imagine for kids, maybe they're into biology, maybe they like the sciences. That wasn't me, not me. But they're really into that, and they're like, oh, I never thought about it this way. And I bet if you had this kind of material versus this kind of material, and then they start geeking out on it, and anybody can geek out in any industry if it's something you're passionate about.
Right. Well, I remember when we were at the St. Cloud event, I was having a hard time letting kids go ahead of me because I wanted in there. I wanted to weld I wasn't really having a hard time, but
you wanted to get in there
I
as
wanted
much
to
as...
weld the Minnesota thing. I wanted to
Yeah.
try it and put it on the base. And they had live animals there, and the wastewater thing. And when we were at Ridgewater, the year we got to do Ignite, I literally remember, plug your ears, Mary, she doesn't like this kind of stuff. That's why I do it. Palpated a cow's uterus, and there was a little fetus in there. And the kids thought I would be grossed out like Mary is, but I don't know. My grandpa milked cows and my uncles, they'd be proud of me.
Not my jam. Not my jam. But I remember
it was cool. It was
when
really
we did
cool.
the Ridgewater career one with Ridgewater for Ignite.
Yeah.
I remember vivid image and Beth coming in and how do you help explain marketing?
Yeah.
And she had these little stations of information all over the room about what kind of marketing is this? Do you recognize this brand? It was fascinating. So that's where I started geeking out a little bit.
I remember that one.
Because you were palpitating a heart. I was braiding hair and putting eyeshadow on little models and looking at marketing and business stuff while you were walking around with that. Yeah.
True.
But that's where kids learn where their passions are or where they're not lie.
Right, which is perfect.
And you've got a great story about a young lady who was so excited after the last career fair we did at the school. Remember, she was super excited and she's like, Mrs. Moore, Mrs. Moore.
Oh yeah, she came out and she was so excited, and she said that was the best thing ever. And I said, did you find a career, or did you talk to someone who is doing what you want to do? And she goes, no. They're all doing, almost everyone in there is doing something different than they thought they would do when they were my age. And I'm like, and that's good for you? And she said, yeah. I just had this heavy weight on my shoulders, like a burden. Like I had to decide when I was 15 or 16 what I want to do till I'm 70 or whatever. And talking to all these real people in here and listening to their career journey or their path and how they just kind of, put one foot in front of the other and took advantage of opportunities. She said it's like refreshing to know that I can do that, and it's exciting. And I'm like, it was an awesome story. I've told that story probably 50
100
times.
times
Yeah.
at
Okay,
least, both of us, between the two of us.
For sure.
But it brings up a really good and valid point when people go, oh, Tiger Path, where you're making kids decide what they want. How do they know what they want? So let's just speak to that.
Right. Well, they do choose their Tiger Path in 8th grade and start choosing their classes. And of course, they can change at any time, and many kids do.
They can change at any time.
They can change classes, and they can completely change their Tiger Path.
Yep.
They may. And a lot do change. I don't know if any 8th grader who registered for all their high school classes last month will actually take all of those exact same classes, throughout their career. In 12th grade, May of their senior year, will they say, yep, I took every class I registered for in 8th grade. I don't think that ever happens. So it really helps. What we say is we're not making them choose a career. We're asking them, based on their interest surveys and inventories, to choose a path to explore in a logical way. And again, I've had students say, well, what if I want to be a welding teacher? That's STREAM and human services. It's like, great. Then take welding classes and take some child development or psychology for electives. And that's really where Tiger Path comes into play, as the electives, because we've talked about this before. Every student needs a certain amount of math, science, social studies, English, art, Phi-Ed, health, etc., to graduate from, maybe no etc., to graduate from a Minnesota high school. But then, of course, they have electives they can choose from as well. So we try to group those electives in a logical way based on the students' interests, skills, and values. But yeah, they did free up more room for electives in 9th and 10th grade so that students could start with some of those electives and start exploring a lot earlier. And I think from the students I talked to, they appreciate that.
Well, now they can take more welding and have more welding experience under their belt if that's interesting to them. But they also know at a younger, earlier point in time in high school, oh, I don't like that. And now I have time to try something else.
Right. And that's another one of my favorite stories, is a student who told me his senior year at spring, I'm going to be an electrician. I'm going to go to Ridgewater to be an electrician starting in the fall. And I said, oh, that's great. Do you have family members who are in that industry? No. I said, oh, what made you decide to be an electrician, or that you wanted to go to school for that? And he said, well, there's a lot of jobs and it pays well. And I'm like, that is true. I said, but maybe we should get you out to a job shadow or whatever. So called, again, a wonderful local business, electrician, and the student went there and job shadowed, and we'd been corresponding through email, and he always had answered me right away. And then the day after the job shadow, I was emailing him, nothing. He was ignoring me. Rude. And I'm like, so I creeped on him and found his schedule, and I went and found him, and I'm like, hey, what's it? How come you haven't been answering me? I just wanted to know how the job shadow went. And he said, I didn't like it, Miss Moore. I'm sorry. I wasted your time, and I wasted Justin's time. And I'm like, you don't understand. This is my job to help you explore careers. And in my world, this is a win. Like, you figured this out. Sorry, Ridgewater, I'm sure you chose another program, but, you figured this out before you went and started something that now was not a good fit for you.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, it's just as important, if not more important, to know what you don't want to do going forward. Because, I think of it like, I tell people this about the chamber too, but think about it as a buffet, right? And you go and there's some things that you don't like, but there's something new there that you think, oh, that looks really interesting. And you try it and you go, oh, I really like that. Or you go, oh. So it's easier to make decisions when you start taking things off.
Right.
Instead of trying to deal with all that's there. So try some things, take them off the plate.
Right.
You might have 3 really good options, and you can continue to explore them in this program.
Right. And I think another thing, if it's all right to move on to this other thing that's related, that has really helped a lot of the students is the mentoring program. Jason Olson had been doing mentoring in his social communications classes for several years. And it was just, from the mentors in the community and the students, the mentees, it was all positive feedback. So it's like, how can we broaden this and expand this and replicate it so even more students can have this experience with a mentor from the community? And so we thought, what if every 9th grader, their first year here, in the high school, could have a mentor from the community and meet with them just maybe 2 or 3 times, during their careers class, etc. And we didn't know if we could get that many mentors, 200 plus 9th graders, and a mentor for every one of them. And Hutchinson stepped up, and even people from some surrounding communities and businesses. So, we have had no problem. I had the spots filled in 2 days, wasn't it, this time?
2 days.
It's just amazing. So again, I think that really helps kids they don't always get matched with a mentor who, say they want to be a nurse. They don't always get matched with a nurse, but they still get to have those just general conversations about how do I explore, how do I figure out what I like and am interested in, how did you explore your career, etc. And then from there we can always connect them with a job shadow that's more specific to their exact interests or career interests. But I just cannot say enough about the mentors and the students. They come in, I've had teachers say they come back to class and it's the first time I've seen that kid smile this trimester after meeting with their mentor. So, it's amazing.
Well, and we talk with a lot of businesses about this program, the mentoring, the Tiger Path program itself as a whole. And so many, including you and I, have said, I wish we had this when we were at this age. Life could have been very different had we had the opportunity to explore what's available. And I think even with the mentors, they say, well, I wish I'd had a mentor. I wish I had somebody from the community.
And that's why they're doing it.
Who showed up because it was important to them that they take time out of their day, leave the work that's at their workstation or their desk, and come and do this. That speaks volumes of the value that mentors feel this is.
Right. And that's what the data shows. When people mentor, when they volunteer in many ways, it's not just for the people they're serving or the student or the mentee or whomever. It is a feel good for them. It boosts their I've had many mentors tell me stories about that. One said, talking to that student about what I do made me remember why I got into it in the first place and how much I love it. And sometimes I just get caught up in all the paperwork and the business and the planning and whatever, and I forget why I love what I do so much. And the student with their questions made me remember that. So hopefully it's mutually beneficial or beneficial for both.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So let's segue a little bit into how really cool Tiger Path is, right?
You tell me, Mary.
Tiger Path is really cool.
Thank you.
So many schools and communities have traveled to Hutchinson and to many other places to hear from Hutchinson, whether it's from you, Darren Vanderheiden, Patrick Walsh, who kind of started this program, Miles Suppelt, Economic Development, to hear about the program. So let's just talk about that for a little bit, and the fact that we're in the midst of planning our third opportunity for people to come and hear from Hutchinson, not just Tiger Path in the school, but from the chamber, EDA, superintendents, board members, private business. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, yeah, people, it's probably, some weeks that's a third of my time is spent just bragging about Tiger Path to, community members and people from across the state, even out of state. And I'm involved in a couple of community of practice groups, in the Twin Cities and further, where they're like, Tiger Path, and we love your website. It's just so fun. It's so fun. Everywhere I go, people are like, Tiger Path is amazing. I'm like, I didn't invent it. Some smart people way before me did, and now I just get the fun of doing the coordinating.
Well, not that long ago, you sent me a message. You were sending me, I can't remember if it was an email or a text message, and you were somewhere, and they were asking about the website, and they wanted to know how much we paid for it and how long it took, and la la la. Well, part of it was a community partner who said we would like to invest in this. And so we aren't going to charge you the full amount. We're going to donate some of that. And part of it was, how did that happen? Well, it's a really good website. It works really well because it addresses not just a student. It addresses businesses, parents, the community as a whole to understand what are the opportunities for a student and for businesses.
Right, and I really think that's the key. Two things I think are really huge in the key to Tiger Path, and I do tell this to anyone who will listen, and most people will. They ask me about it. One, I think, is the collaboration we have here in Hutchinson, and you and I have talked about that many times. And we have had people from Japan, literally, in our community saying, I have never seen this level of collaboration. How come you guys don't fight?
And somebody in the back of your ear, when the Consul General of Japan was saying that, Mr. Ito, was saying that you had somebody in the back of your ear go, he never talks that way.
Yeah, because I said, he says that to all the girls, kind of like,
right,
like it's just.
And they're like, no, he does not.
Yeah, so I think that collaboration, as you were talking about with the chamber and the EDA, and I have people say, how do you keep them from fighting with each other? I don't have to do that. They just all want the best for the community and the students and workforce needs, and they know that working together is how that's going to happen. And then the other thing that goes along with that is, which a lot of schools are really surprised, that might not be the right word, impressed, that the school district had the vision to say, we are committing resources, a person, funds, time, whatever, to career exploration in our school district, because we know that teachers are busy. I mean, teachers have been helping kids explore careers. I have said this a million times as well. Since the beginning of time, I was a teacher. I did that, but I didn't have the time to do it like I can do it now.
Right.
And if I can help the teachers and fill out field trip permission forms, and now the number has gone up since I last spoke at the employer-teacher mixer, since 2018, and it would be higher than this if it weren't for the pandemic, over 800 students have gone on a field trip without having to ever bring a check to school for that field trip. And that is because of the generosity of our community members. So when you look at it like that, and that's a barrier for some people, whether it's a financial burden or they just forget to bring the check, or Who writes checks anymore?
Right.
I don't know, you know.
Right, or who takes money, puts it in their pocket, and it's spent before they get to the school.
That probably
or
happens.
they were afraid to ask for it
Right.
at home.
I mean, we still get permission slips,
Right,
you know,
absolutely,
so their parents
but-
know where they are and everything. But yeah, to me, that's just one of my favorite things to think about. And I couldn't do that. I mean, I could coordinate the field trip, but I can't pay for 800 kids to go on a bus, you know.
No.
But because of the community generosity, that money is there.
Right. Plus, there's grants.
And we've gotten the Youth Skills Training Grant from the Department of Labor and Industry 2 times now, round 1 and round 4. So we're currently in round 4. So that goes a very long way in paying for the resources that the district has committed, you know, including my salary and salary of teachers who will teach summer exploratory camps for current 7th and 8th graders. We will have 2 exploratory camps in June. That'll come out real soon. It'll be in the Parks and Rec brochure, and then we'll also have it on the website that we were talking about for kids just interested in exploring manufacturing and health sciences. So the Department of Labor had 2 $100,000 grants that has paid for the things that I just mentioned and others.
And it's meant, I mean, that program is meant specifically to do what we're talking about.
Because they knew that you almost had to commit at least part-time or full-time person to really, you know, coordinate these kinds of experiences for kids. And they knew that that money probably, it was going to be hard for a lot of districts to come up with that money, you know, internally.
They are so pressed for dollars. And the number of places that they get the buckets of money from is ridiculous. I can't even imagine because I'm not a numbers person. So to have these resources and be able to use them smartly.
Right.
And to, I mean, you really work to get the most out of every one of those dollars that's donated and granted.
Well, and it's great because then through that, you know, now we have these exploratory camps. Then other companies hear about exploratory camps. That's really cool. Where can we write a check? And then we get all of a sudden $20,000 from Uponor. And 3 years ago, we got $13,000 from Wells Fargo that we applied for. We just got $5,000 from Southwest Initiative Foundation to help with these exploratory camps. So it builds on, you know, when people see things that they believe will be helpful to students, you know, they get right on board with it. It's so fun. Like people just call me and they're like, we want to sponsor this. How can we help? And I'm like,
can we give you money to help with this?
I know.
Yes, please and thank you.
Whoever thought when you said we wish we would have had this when we were in high school, part of me was like, oh, if I would have, I wonder if I'd be Tiger Path coordinator right now. Maybe I wouldn't have. And then that made me sad for a quick moment. But yeah, just, you know, that whole notion of going forward and exploring all throughout your whole life. I mean, I got my master's degree when I was like 52, I think. And yeah, just trying to encourage kids to just really follow their passion and keep exploring. That's really what it's all about.
So I want to thank you for being here today because I know what your schedule looks like.
I know, this is really fun. Although most of the things on my job are really fun too, so I can't complain.
I mean, you have a lot of diverse things, but I also know that it's a very full schedule. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
We're going to work on that 3-hour program.
Yes.
Because I think we'll just put out a couch, take off our shoes, pour a little wine, and just go for it.
I bet the messages are just coming in.
I bet they are pouring
now.
in right now. Yep.
Sure of it.
So thank you. Thank you for being the person that we really hoped would be here now to make this program, the special program that it is, the really successful program that it is. I really appreciate that.
Thank you and others for creating it.
Yeah. So if you need more information about Tiger Path, you can call the high school. You can call the chamber at 587-5252. We can hook you up with Andrea. We can make it really easy for you. What?
Nothing. We'll talk about that later in the 3-hour segment.
In the 3-hour segment.
Something the students taught me.
Just saying. Please hold for our 3-hour series. You'll enjoy it, I'm sure.
Yes, you can email me, andrea.moore@isd423.org, or again, just call the high school, 587-2151, or central office. They'll find me.
587-2151, for those of you who thought she just said that really fast.
I did.
I hope you join us again for the Hutchinson Chamber Connection. I want to thank my friend Andrea for being so awesome and being here. Love you. There is Much and Hutch. We're going to keep using that, baby. Thanks for being part of Much and Hutch.
Thank you.
Be well.